Okay, hey, this is Josh with Grimco Tech Support. In this video, I'm going to expand on a previous video that I did where I set up a contour line for print and cut in Onyx. And it was fairly simple what we did in that previous video. So this one's just a little bit more advanced, so you'll get to see maybe a couple new things here. So you can see in this art, there's a bunch of vector pieces that kind of make up this spaceman here. So we're going to do like we did in the last video. I'm going to select all, so I'm going to do Control A, maybe, Control A, okay. I'm going to copy it, so I can do Control C or come up here, Edit, Copy. All right, then I do make a new layer in my Layers window here, create new layer. I'm going to go ahead and rename the layer to Cut, just so it's organized that way. And then I'm going to paste in place, so I can do Control Shift V or Edit, Paste in place. And I've got my two layers stacked on top of each other here. So I'm going to hide the print layer and make sure, oops, my arrow here. Make sure I just have just the cut layer stuff selected. So I'll do Control A there to select all. And then I'm going to go ahead and unite it with Pathfinder. So depending on the complexity of the file, sometimes this does some kind of weird stuff. This one's not too bad, except for there's some holes we probably want to fill in here. So I'm going to get my direct selection tool here and just start selecting these individual points within this shape. And I'm just hitting delete to start deleting these points and basically cleaning up this shape. So there's no oddball cut lines in this file. Okay, so that looks pretty good there. That'll be our initial cut line there. So I'm going to go ahead and go up into my swatches and go to my swatch libraries, user defined, choose my Onyx spot colors that we created in a previous video. And I've got my cut contour spot color here. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to cut contour, so that bright magenta spot color for cut lines. And we have our cut file set up. Okay, so if we were to flip-flop the order of these layers, you can see the magenta peeking through there in those spots that we cleaned up before. That's fine because we just want those to be white, and it'll just be part of our sticker. Cool, so the cut line is in there. Let's go ahead and add a perf cut line too, in case we want to have a kind of a fancy punch out sticker for this. So I'm going to go ahead and hide my print layer again. I'm going to select all of my cut layers, Control A there, and then I'm going to do an expand, or actually I'm sorry, a path offset on this. Path and then offset path. And we'll go maybe a ½ inch out. Let's see what that does. That should be good, and we'll make a rounded effect to it, so it kind of creates a nice clean punch out or perf cut or flex cut if you're using a Suma. And that looks pretty good, so we'll hit OK there. The only problem is it's still the same. There's two shapes here, but they're both the same color, so we need to change this outer shape to our cut contour perf. And there we go. So we'll make sure we turn both layers back on and save this file out. So come up here, File, Save As. Onyx doesn't, it'll open an AI file, but it's not a supported format. So PDF is typically the correct format for Onyx. Obviously, it'll accept all sorts of things, but PDF is generally going to be the best. Make sure it's PDF. Looks like I have one called that already, but we'll overwrite it. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and save that out. Yes, we want to replace whatever that previous file was. Cool, so then we can go open this in Onyx. We'll open up Onyx RibQ. Okay, so we'll choose whichever printer we intend to print this to. Let's just say we're going to go to the Epson. We'll do open, locate that PDF file, so it's going to be this one here. And we'll go ahead and open it into Job Editor so that we can check it out in the Job Editor, or the kind of layout setup application for Onyx. So that'll open up a new program, Job Editor. Might take a second here. See the file coming in busy status because it's busy open in Job Editor. And there's our file. You see the purple and the magenta are not there. There's a magenta outline showing the cuts, but they're those are just previews of the cut path. If I uncheck this box here, there's what's going to print, and there's what's showing my cut. So I'll choose whichever cutter I have. Let's say I have a Graphtec cutter. Make any other layout changes that I want to make, whether it's changing the size or rotating the image or that kind of thing. It could even come to print and add copies, and then once we're done with that, we'll just hit submit. So that sends it to the queue. It'll rip the job for whichever profile and print mode I selected, and you can see here in this cuttered column it shows the Graphtec FC9000 cutter, so that's the marks it'll print for that cutter. I can see in the preview here, based on a 64-inch roll size, this is how it's going to print. So first of all, with print and cut, you typically want it to be centered just so you have space for your registration marks. Basically, when you load it on the plotter, you want to make sure the plotter wheels are outside the registration mark. So centering will help with that. And it looks like it's kind of lonely here on the 64-inch page, so maybe we can double click, go to our job properties, and add a couple copies in there. And then there's our print and cut job. So we'll print that, and then it will send the cut portion of the data to cutserver. Just want to make sure my printer is going to print, so I'm going to go into configure printer. Okay, it is set to print to file. I don't actually have a Epson printer hooked up, so I need to send it to a directory instead of trying to send it to a printer. Okay, so the print's been sent over, so my cut file should be over in cutserver. Okay, and I actually already have a Graphtec FC9000 set up, and you can see there's the two cut lines, and it shows two different cut layers here, CutContour and CutContour Perf. Now, some setup stuff that you're going to want to do to help organize this and sort of automate this process for you. If you come into the little gear here next to the cutter, or you can come up here to manage cutters and configure that cutter, either way. You can come in here, and we want to set up some cut layer settings. So there's a default setting, and if we look at that one, it's basically saying use whatever condition is automatically set on the cutter. So that's fine if if you're programming your cutter that way. But we want to designate what's a CutContour Perf and what's a CutContour. So we're going to add a couple more here. So we'll add one, and we'll call it CutContour. And you can set this to a specific condition. If you normally cut with your KissCut settings at condition 1, you can choose that, or whatever condition that may be. Or you could even just leave it on use cutter setting and just make sure you have cutter 1 or condition 1 selected on your machine. Either way, we'll say we're going to just use condition 1. So this will override whatever settings are set on your printer, even though or on your plotter. Even if you've got it on condition 4, if you design with this spot color, cut contour, it's going to override, or Onyx is going to say, nope, use condition 1 because I've chosen that right here. And we'll add another one, just like we did there, cut contour perf. And in most cases, a lot of our text will set up a perf cut as condition number 8. It replaces the pounce tool, which most people aren't using anyway. There will be some setup required on the plotter side to configure your condition number 8 to do a perf cut. And stay tuned for another video on how to set that up on your GraphTech. So here we're telling it, okay, whenever you see this spot color cut contour perf, use condition 8, override whatever settings on the machine and change it to condition 8, which we'll have set up as a perf cut. All right, so then the next time we open this file up, it's going to match up the cut layer setting to the spot color that we use to design it. And you could use that for as many colors as you really want. As long as the prefix starts out cut contour, you can call it cut contour perf, cut contour laminated, kiss cut, whatever you want to specify there. As long as it has the suffix cut contour on there, Onyx is going to treat it as a cut line. Okay, so they may not be here yet. Yeah, I don't think so. So we'll have to close out of cutserver and reopen cutserver to see those new cut layer settings. So now we've got this job, and see it automatically match those up. So it says, oh, you're doing a cut contour, so we're going to do that one first, and it's going to use the condition number 1 cut contour setting that we created. And then after that, you're going to do a perf cut, so we're going to use cut contour perf condition number 8. And if you happen to find them like this, where the perf cut is on the top, you want to rearrange that order. We want the cut contour always to be first, and the cut contour perf to be the last thing it does. All right, this file's ready to go. So after it's printed, load it on your plotter, and then come over here and hit cut now. And this will tell your plotter to first kiss cut the inside shape, and then come back around and perf cut the outside shape. Cool. Thanks.